welcome back to AWS On Air, where we are live here in Washington, D.C. We're at the 2023 AWS DC Summit, and we can see here it's day 2, and the crowds are dying down a little bit. We see all of the expo goers in the background walking back, but we have 2 more segments left. I am your host for this one, Jeff Marushak. I am a senior solutions architect on our DoD Air Force team. And I'm joined today by Sid and Praneeth. We're going to talk about dashboards. And I see what you're about to show. It's not up yet, but this is going to be our 3rd pet-oriented demonstration, which is awesome. But you guys want to introduce yourselves really quick?
Yeah, sure. I'm Sid. I'm a solutions architect, and I work with public sector customers.
Perfect.
Hey, I'm Praneeth. I'm a senior solutions architect, and I work with public sector customers too. Specifically, I focus on education technology customers.
Great, awesome. So we're going to talk about dashboards, and throughout the sessions, yesterday and today, we've talked about CloudWatch, some dashboards. We just got done talking about CloudTrail. We've actually talked about Managed Prometheus, which then feeds information into Grafana. I did a builder session with Managed Grafana to kind of build in everything. There's some new features. What are you guys here to talk about dashboard-wise?
Yeah, so CloudWatch dashboards in general, dashboards are a great mechanisms to monitor AWS resources. Like, just to take an example, during a peak events where, as a customer, you would expect peak traffic coming in, and you expect that, your infrastructure would scale it. Now, in those situations, you want to monitor your resources and stay ahead of any issues that, you may occur, right? This is where CloudWatch Dashboards provides one of the mechanisms for you to monitor your AWS resources.
Yeah, when we were beginning to learn AWS, we were always, we build an EC2 instance, and we see like the inherent dashboards. Okay, I can see the CPU spike, and maybe we do a little script to spike the CPU, and we can see the usage go. But when we're talking about dashboards, operational dashboards, this is where teams are responsible for the uptime of an application, and all of these things, the metrics really mean, they're important. So I could see where you would want to definitely have an operations team monitor these dashboards.
Right, not just metrics. I wanna take a step back here. It's AWS CloudWatch Dashboards allows you to monitor metrics, logs, and traces too. Those are 3 observability pillars that are more important for application to track it.
Yeah, and especially if we're talking more about a microservices architecture, traceability between those microservices is a big deal as well.
Right.
So, are there some new enhancements with CloudWatch dashboards that we want to talk about today?
Yeah, since they've launched CloudWatch, a lot of the things that have changed is visual, how the widgets look. They've added some gauge meters, so visually it looks more appealing. They've added light mode or dark mode. So it makes it much visually more attractive for customers to even play it on a screen if they need it.
Yeah.
Or if they want to replay it, they can even, if they want to go back a day and replay the entire dashboard to see how the metrics are performing, they can do it, which wasn't available before.
Wait, so there's you said like a dark theme?
Yeah.
That may sound superficial, but we've all probably been in a NOC or an operations center where they have really expensive plasma screens that have burn-in because maybe they had like a white background. So that's maybe not a technical thing, but it's important, and I think that's a good feature. Yeah.
Right, and adding to that, CloudWatch dashboards now support cross-account sharing of, if your environments are between multiple accounts and even in different regions, you can always get everything at one place using cross-account sharing. That's another feature that CloudWatch Dashboards provides today.
Yeah, and we've mentioned this earlier. That is a more secure way. If your operations folks who are in charge of monitoring, if they only have access to only what they need, and if that's a single account that has all your metrics and dashboards, that's even great.
Right.
So what do we have to show with our demo today?
Yeah, so what I want to do is I just want to do a quick setup of a CloudWatch dashboard. So show people how can you set up a dashboard if you have an application running, and what are the different widgets that you can add to a dashboard. So let me, do you want me to dive deep now?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's bring it up if it's not up already.
Yeah. So yeah, if you can see my screen, basically what I'm running in my environment is just a pet adoptions website. So I guess you've already seen this today, but it just lets you view all the pets that are available. You can adopt them if you want.
No, what's funny is that I think we saw the traceability. We saw the in X-ray, but we didn't see the website. So I'm excited to see the website.
Yeah, this just shows you an overview that, it's basically to adopt the pet. So you can go here, you can even pay for the pets here. So what we're doing is, it is the one observability workshop that you've probably seen before.
Sure.
So it is a microservices architecture. So in those cases, it's very important that you have a good dashboard that is available to you.
Can you walk through some, like not every single piece of this diagram, but just explain to the viewers what some of this stuff is?
Yeah, so there's different services running. So there's a pet search API that's running. There's a pet adoptions API that's running. So some of them are on EKS clusters, some of them are on ECS. So whenever someone is going to the website and they're searching for pets, it goes to the pet search API. If they're looking to adopt, it goes to the pet list adoptions API. So there's different services running, and when you want to look at the health of the overall application or the website, then you need a dashboard that you can basically add the most important metrics to. And then if you need to go dive deeper, then I'll show you how you can link multiple dashboards to one single main dashboard and navigate from one place to the other.
Yeah, it's just nice to see we have multiple application load balancers in front of the APIs. We have some SNS topics and some SQS.
Yeah.
So we have the pub sub model, but also message queuing involved here. We have that pet search API talking to S3. Is that just like, is that results going to S3 or what's going to S3 there?
Yeah, it is going to S3. And talking about the architecture here itself, every feature that you see in the pet adoption itself is built on an API, and that's what the microservice architecture is. Now we use different platforms, like one API is backed by an EKS cluster, one does a serverless, one does an ECS console, ECS platform. That's how we made sure that the architecture covers multiple platforms, so that we can show you how observability could be fit in with different platforms.
Yeah, so is that probably why there's both SNS and SQS? Oh, that's awesome, yeah. And so we see DynamoDB at the bottom there, so yeah, I'm excited. But the key point here is that if there's one problem, where is that problem? It could be in any one of those. I went through all those services on purpose so our viewers could see if there's a problem, it could happen in any one of those areas, and I think that's what this dashboard's going to help us see.
Right.
Yeah. So what I want to do first is I just want to take you to the dashboard section. So this is the CloudWatch console. And what you'll see at first is that there's two kinds of dashboards. There's custom dashboards and automatic dashboards. So what automatic dashboards are basically, these are pre-populated dashboards.
Okay.
Based on the services, we have like more than 200 services. But you only see 21 here because CloudWatch detects what services you're using, and based on that, it's going to populate dashboards that you can just start using out of the box.
Awesome, awesome.
So for example, in the architecture, you saw at some EKS RDS clusters. So if I go to an RDS cluster dashboard, it's going to show me based on what CloudWatch or the service team feels are the most important metrics you want to monitor from RDS. They're going to plot all these widgets on a dashboard for you. And what you can do is you can either just view them as from here directly, you can play around with the time and everything. But if you want to customize it, because most people don't just have an RDS cluster, but they have more components in their application. So what they can do is they can just use this dashboard, click on Add to Dashboard here. I click on, for example, create new dashboard, and I do RDS new. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a new dashboard. Once I click Add to Dashboard, it's copied that automatic dashboard to my own custom dashboard now. So what I have the option to do now is I can customize this to whatever I want.
Yeah, maybe you saw how many things are there? There's like 12 boxes here. Maybe you saw 8 of them that you said, oh, we really need these. So let's create a new dashboard, start with all 12, get rid of the things we don't want, and then customize it further from there.
Yeah, and if you need to change how they look, if you want to rearrange it, or maybe add more services, maybe you want to add something from a different application, from a different service, maybe from EC2, you can add it to the same dashboard.
Gotcha.
All right, so I'm going to save this. So if we go back to dashboards now, you'll see that I have a new dashboard called RDS New.
This is the one you just created.
Yeah, so I've basically copied that. So what I want to do now is I want to create a dashboard from scratch. So I'm going to create one called DC Summit. Click on Create Dashboard. Then you see it shows you all these widgets. So these are all the widgets you can actually place on a dashboard. So I'm going to show you a couple that you can explore. So if I go out of this, you'll see we're starting from scratch. You click on add a first widget. In this case, we'll start with the most common one, which is like a line widget.
Yep.
So it's just a time series data. You select metrics here. And for example, if I want to look at the, I have EKS pods running, right? So if I want to look at the CPU of my pods, I'm going to go into look for my metrics. So for example, I see here pod CPU utilization. So I can click on the plus button here. So it's going to add that metric to the filter here that you see here in the blue. So now all you see are all the metrics for just pod CPU utilization. So in my case, I'm going to select this one, click on create widget. So it will populate that widget on the dashboard, right? So now you have the option to, if you want to go and change the widget type, you can change it from here. You can click on widget type here. If I want to do a stacked area, you can do that. So you see this time series here. Some people don't really want to view CPU as a time series data. So if they want to do something like a number, what you can do here is I'm just going to duplicate this one.
Sure.
I'm going to go here, change the widget type to maybe like a number.
Yep.
So now you see some people like this more. So now you see CPU as a number. And there's a new feature called Sparkline, which you can add. So if you do a show Sparkline, it's going to show you an overview of what the metric has been behaving like.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah. And also not every time, sometimes the key metrics could be related to your application, business logic itself. Since we are running a pet site adoption website, right? As there is a peak season going on, I want to know what is the, let's say if you take dog or bunny, how many bunnies being adopted in the last 5 minutes is something that I'm keen to learn about in my monitoring dashboard. So you can do those kind of customizations as well through CloudWatch dashboards.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you want to see that.
So would that be like linked to like a certain API call with Bunny in it or something? Or there's like, I imagine there's probably an adoption API or checkout of a cart with a bunny, something we can make a metric based on that and see over the past time period how many times that's been done?
Yeah, what you can do, I can show you an example of that. So what I'm doing here is so the pet adoptions API, it has a log group, right? So that log group is getting all the logs for all the HTTPS requests that are coming in. So I've written a query here which says, this is logs insights, which basically lets you query all the CloudWatch logs that you have.
Okay.
So I have a query that I've saved here just to save time. So if you see in this query, you'll see that I've selected my pay for adoption API log group. And I've written a query here, and that query, what it's doing is it's just looking for all the post requests that are happening on my application, and it's looking for the type as bunny.
Pet type equals bunny. Got it, yeah.
So I can run this query here, and you see that it's going to show me a count of how many bunnies were adopted. So you can do this if you want to add this to the dashboard. So you couldn't just go here. You can select the dashboard I created, DC Summit. You can change the name. So I can change it to bunnies, for example, and I can just do add to dashboard. So you see that we are going to now have a new widget, which is going to show us how many bunnies were adopted. So you can add this to the dashboard. So if you want insights from your log groups, you can do something like that. Similarly, another thing you can do is if you go to log insights again, there's 2 ways you can visualize log insights queries.
Okay.
So if I want to look at how many times pet list adoptions has shown up in my log groups, so what I do is I've written a query here where all I'm doing is I'm just searching for this string called pet list adoptions.
Okay.
And I'm choosing the log group here. So you can choose one log group, or from the drop down you can choose multiple log groups. Once you do that, once I run the query, you see that it gives you, it's basically split it in 5-minute buckets. It's telling you how many times you see this string called pet list adoptions show up. So how do I want to visualize this? It's basically easier if I do it via a line graph. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to change the visualization to a line graph or a stacked area. And then I can add this to the dashboard too. So I'm again going to select my current dashboard, click on add this to dashboard.
Yeah. And
you'll see that you can get insights and you can visualize your logs directly straight from the dashboard.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. Normally we think of operations dashboards, we think of just CPU utilization, but this is cool to see that we can think outside the box a little bit. you're in the console right now, and you're creating this dashboard here. Do the folks that need to monitor the dashboard, do they need to be logged into the console as well?
No, no, it would be hard to imagine even to log into the console, right? We do provide APIs that allows customers to just read the dashboards. With these APIs, you could inherit the same dashboard on your wiki page or on your internal, conference page or anything, which you can visualize without logging into the console.
Yeah. Yeah, for example, there's 3 ways to share your dashboard. So if I want to share this dashboard with other people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Username and password. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. And
Yeah.
then publicly. All right,
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, so you could do public, you could do username and password, or if you want your entire organization, you're using some SSO solution, and you want to have your entire organization have access to dashboards, then you have the option to do that too.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah. And another thing that I just wanted to touch base on was like a text widget, which is basically like a dashboard won't really make sense to a person unless it has some context, right?
Right.
So you want to have something that you can add something like a text widget to the dashboard, which basically could be giving some context about what this dashboard is doing, what happens if this dashboard breaks, or if you want to reach out to someone, you can add links to it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to copy this widget just to save time. So this is some text that is syntaxed as Markdown. So once you paste it here, you see a preview on the right as to what the text would look like on a dashboard. So I'm going to create a widget here. So what that has done is I basically added a text widget. My bad. Yeah.
Oh, it got locked down there in the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding a text widget, and you can see I've added some buttons here. So in the case where we created that RDS dashboard from the automatic dashboard, I've added links to it here. So I just click here, and you basically will be navigated to the RDS dashboard.
All right, this is great. So thanks for joining us and just showing us all these different kinds of dashboards and helping us try to think a little bit differently about dashboards and some of the cool stuff you can do with the new features. So everyone, we'll be right back right after this quick word. I'm Jeff Mershek, live from the AWS 2023 DC Summit.